crew collect provisions and journey north. This is Raiders of the North Sea. Welcome back to the Board Game Closet. My name's Jimmy, and today I'm taking a look at Raiders of the North Sea. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, click the button and subscribe, and every week we'll give you a video review about a board game, and we'll tell you our simple rating of buy it, play it, or hate it. We'll tell you if green, you should go buy this game, white, you should play it, but maybe not buy it, and then red means don't buy it, don't play it because you hate it. And we like to tell you right up front our review and then spend the rest of the video telling you why we gave it that rating. So Raiders of the North Sea, if I could give it 2 greens, I would give this game 2 greens. This is a buy it game for me. And there's expansions. I haven't got to play those yet. I can't wait to get those games. But the base game, just how it comes right out of the box, I say go buy this game. And so I'm going to spend the rest of this video telling you why. Raiders of the North Sea is a worker placement game. So out in front of you, you have the majority of the board are going to be places that you get to go pillage at some point. You're going to be taking journeys, going to the north and trying to raid these places. But the worker placement aspect is just this little corner of the board down here on the bottom. And so you'll spend your turns placing a meeple and removing a meeple. And so we'll talk about how that works. And it's really one of my favorite things. I don't know if I played another game like this. I think Coldwater Crown does a similar thing with worker placement, but basically this is how it works. On your turn, you place your meeple in a location on the bottom of the board that allows you to do something. So you go to that location, you do the thing, and then you get to remove a meeple. So you can't ever remove the one you just placed, but you get to take a meeple from one of the other locations, and then you get to do that action. So in essence, you're doing 2 things on your turn, but you have to choose them in order. And that's very important because some locations you can't do unless you have the item. So you might have to do them in a certain order. And it's also true that you can only place your meeple in a location that is open. So on someone's turn before you, if they take a meeple away from where you wanted to go, then that's awesome because they opened up a location. But if they take a meeple where you wanted to remove a meeple, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but if they take one away, then you can't remove that one as well. So turn order in this is kind of important. The person that goes in front of you could totally change how your turn plays out. So let's talk real quickly about the locations and what they do, and then we'll talk about the top half of the board where you get to go raid and pillage and do all that terrible, wonderful stuff. So if you go to the gatehouse, you're going to get 2 of these raider cards. And these cards have multi-purpose on them. So you could use them, one, for if you place them down onto the board, this now becomes a person in your crew. And we'll talk about that when we come to the pillage. But they also have an ability on the bottom that allows you to do something different. Instead of playing this card as a worker or a person in your crew, now you could play them for their special ability. And so this says lose 1 livestock to gain 1 iron. So now, instead of a crew, I get the ability that's written on the card. Now, they do cost in order to hire them. So it tells you at the top how much it costs to hire this dude. So he costs 2 money to get him. And then they also increase your military strength. And we'll get to that when we do the pillage. The treasury allows you to get rid of a card. So I'm going to get rid of one of these to gain 2 money. Which, by the way, one of the reasons I love this game is it comes with metal coins right out of the box. And I do want to mention, kind of side note, is that this is an extremely small box. I was not expecting this. This should have come in a box twice its size, a Ticket to Ride size box. But instead, this is just a little bit bigger than maybe the Resistance as far as, you know, anyway, so it's not a huge box. So you might be shocked when you get, well, maybe not now because I told you about it. But anyways, small box, a lot of stuff in it. The other thing that you can do is come to the Armory. Now, the Armory is this spot over here. If you trade in an iron, you get to go up 2 levels. Or if you trade in 2 money, then you get to go up 1. And this Armory is going to play into some bonuses that you're going to get when you go and pillage. So let's talk about the different meeples that you get in the game. At the beginning, you're given this black Viking, and that's all that you have. So all of the locations on the bottom are relative to just the black Viking. So there is a space called the Longhouse that you can't go yet because you don't have a gray or a white Viking. The mill and the silversmith give you a different ability based off of the color of Viking that you take there. So for instance, if I go to the mill with a black Viking, I'm only going to get 1 provision. But if I took a gray one, I would get 2. If I took a white one, I would get 2 provisions, or I could take a gold. And so that's a pretty unique thing. The Armory, you can't even go to the Armory unless you have a gray or a white Viking. In the Silversmith, if you take a black Viking, you're going to get 3 money. If you take a gray or white, you're only going to get 2. So how do you get those Vikings? How do you change them out? So what's really interesting about the game is when you go to the bottom, you're just going to be taking and removing, placing and removing meeples. But when you go to Pillage at the top of the board, you're going to be leaving a Viking. So I guess thematically, you go one man and you come back another. Like, it makes you a better man, I guess, I don't know, or woman Viking. And so, but how do you pillage? Let's talk about all of that. So let's say that I wanted to go to the harbor. It tells me a couple things. One, it's going to tell me that I'm going to get 1 victory point for going on this raid. But I also have to have a provision, and I have to have 3 crew members in my crew in order to go on this mission. If I've got all of that, then I place this here, I discard that, and then I'm going to take the provisions that are out there, or the reward. So let's say that I came here, I would get 2 cattle and a gold for going on that mission, and then I return with the gray Viking, and then that black Viking stays there for the rest of the game. He's out of it, basically. And so it's going to start the game with a lot of all these black Vikings, but then as the game progresses, the black Vikings get left out here on these all this pillage that you've done, and then you're going to be bringing back white and gray Vikings. And so on my next turn, if I wanted to go to the Longhouse or the Armory, I could do that now. So it kind of rewards you for going on a mission and then coming back. So what do you do with all of these things that you have returned with? If you visit the Longhouse, you get to basically go and present your rewards or your pillage goods, stuff, things to the chieftain, and you get to impress him. So there are requirements. So if I want to impress the chieftain, I could give him 2 money and an ore or an iron, and I could get 3 victory points. Or this one over here says if I have 1 money and 3 cattle, then I could get 4 victory points. So as you see what the chieftain is expecting, you could look out on the board and find places that you could go to get those things and turn them in for victory points. The other thing that you have to do is gold can let you go on some of these further missions, or you could exchange iron for armory points. Now, the bottom ones right here, like the harbor, all of these harbor ones really don't have anything to do with your military strength or your armor strength. But once you get into the land, you're going to have some military strength if you want to score more victory points. Let's say that I wanted to invade the monastery. I would have to have 3 crew members, a gold, and 3 provisions. But if I go, and I have to have a gray or a white Viking. If I have one of those and I could go there, I instantly get the goods that are in that location, but then I get to roll a die to see how much, what my military strength is. So I would roll these 2 dice and I would add the numbers together. So I got an 8. If I had military strength based off of the number that's at the top of this card, I could add that to it. So now I've got an 11. But if I'd also progressed up this track, let's say that I made it to 6, then I would have 8 plus 3, that's 11, 17 points. So that would tell me that if I had a 12 or greater, I get 4 extra victory points, or I get 4 victory points, or if instead I would get 6 victory points if I had a 20 or higher. So that's pretty cool. And so it gives you more victory points for going on these missions if you have bumped up your armor. The other thing that can happen to you on these missions is that you can people can die, right? And so if you ever take back one of these black tokens, then that means that one of your crew members has to die. You get to pick which one that is, and they leave your hand. But then you also get to go up the Valkyrie track here. And so as you progress up this track, you're going to get Endgame Scoring points. So if I make it all the way to the top, I could get 15 victory points for all the dudes that I've killed off. But keep in mind that the more dudes that you kill off, the more you have to visit, get them back into your hand, play them down. And so you're kind of trading off. You're getting rid of guys to go up the Valkyrie track, but then you have to get them back in your hand to go on these missions. Because at the end of the top missions that you want to go on are these fortress missions. Those require a lot of guys. Like this fortress over here requires 5 crew members. So if you're killing them off to go up this track, then you're not going to be able to go to these other missions quickly. And that's pretty much the game. You're going to have to keep 3 things in mind at endgame scoring. Basically, all the points that you've scored along the way, the armor points, and the Valkyrie. And then there are also endgame scoring points. So there might be guys that say if this person is in your crew at the end of the game, you get so many victory points. And so you add up all those. Whoever has the most points wins the game. I absolutely love this game. It's the first game I played in a long time that at the end of it, I wanted to say, let's play again right now. Like right now. I want to play this game again right now. The reason is a couple things. It's simple enough, right? It's not an overly complicated Euro game. It's not an overly complicated worker placement game. And so I play it, I get excited about this little engine that I can build of getting my crew, going on missions, going to the chieftain. I just really, that is me in a nutshell when it comes to board games. I love that whole machine that you can kind of create with going and getting things and trading them in for victory points. I love it. And so this is simple enough of one that I just feel like I'm playing the game. It's not too complicated where my mind is working, but I get the concepts. It's really smart. It's really simple. I like the dice rolls that give you an added bonus. So you could be working up your armor to get extra points when you go on these missions. That's really cool. It is really helpful because some of the top tier missions, you could go to the same location and get 7 points, or if your armor's built up enough, then you could get 12 points. And that 5-point swing could be really important come the end of the game. And so there's a lot to it, but it's really simple to understand. And I really, really enjoy this one. I can't recommend it enough. I'm going to be doing another video later on that compares Raiders of the North Sea with Champions of Midgard, which is another game that I love. And I want to answer the question, is there room for both of these games in your collection? And so let me know what you think in the comments if you played both of these games, if you like Champions of Midgard better or Raiders of the North Sea better, or if you can have both of them in your collection. Let me know. All right, that's it. I'm done talking. So let me know in the comments what you think. Should you buy it, play it, or hate it? Raiders of the North Sea.